It has been the longest off-season of SRA. The rust has been wiped off and the cars are revved up and ready to go. Welcome to SRA.
We're off and away for SRA.
And we're live.
Hello, everybody, and welcome along to the virtual Donington Park for round number 3 of the Sim Racing Alliance GT3 Team Series in this season number 8. Though it's still early in the season, this race could prove pivotal for many drivers, especially those battling back from troubles in the opening rounds at Zandvoort and Circuit of the Americas. And many of our drivers claim Donington as one of their favorite circuits, so today's race presents a good opportunity for many to improve in the standings. As always, this is Adam Lavox here in the commentary box. Delighted as always to be joined by our own Rafael Astolfo, our resident broadcasting wizard who always keeps our streams top notch for our fans. And Raf, of course, you can also be found not only here in the commentary box, but also behind the wheel on the D2 grid tomorrow. Sorry. And of course, sorry about the less than ideal results last week. Of course, internet gremlins and such do happen now and again, but you plowed through to the end regardless, and we got to commend you for that, of course. So, in your preparation for this week, what do you make of this race that these D4 drivers are about to undertake?
We'll see. Well, good evening, everybody. Just getting things rolling here for our D4 race. As far as, I'm not going to talk much about last week. A lot of technical issues. Still made through somehow. I don't know how I did it, but as far as D4 division here, these guys have gone pretty quick. I mean, they have gotten really, really quick. Practice race last night was pretty good. I mean, from what I've saw, these guys are throwing some pretty good pace, like way like D3, D2 pace of some of these drivers. So it's obviously a great track here at Donington Park. It is one of my favorite tracks. I'm gonna switch this over to our track map view here for a second. For those you might not be too familiar with it, but I think most of us are. But it is located in, oh man, I'm gonna say that name, Leicestershire. I'm not gonna pronounce that correctly.
Leicestershire.
Leicestershire. There you go. Leicestershire. There you go. Got it. Thank you, Adam. But it is about 4 kilometers long, 2.5 miles, 12 turns. Very technical track, I'd say. Towards the end, you got to make sure you got that chicane turn 10 there, hairpin turn 11, and then you got that another hairpin right after turn 12. That's where you can gain most of your time. The drivers, by the way, just kind of getting ready here on their owl lap, just getting started as far as thing goes. Just about to leave the pit. We'll switch that over to you guys in just a second. I just want to pull up the standings before we head that route. So let's go ahead and move this over here for a second. There we go. Switch over. And you can see so far we got our leader. Overall leader here on the gold D4 gold. No Maxwell. Great race at Circuit of the Americas last week. Has got 181 points. He is leading the overall golds here at D4. We got Chris Swinney, had a great race last week as well, and also in round 1, 170 points, not too far back. And we have Nate Andrew, 164 points for your third spot. And then Dudley Do-Right is your silver leader, 142 points, followed by Mike Gino. Second place, just 2 points behind, basically. And then DJ Watts, your third silver spot here for the D4 gold. D4 silver, gold and silver. Want to take too much of your time here. I want to switch over to your team standings just for a second here. We have THR Boot with Andrew Burke and Chris Swinney with that lead, 267 points as a team. Followed pretty closely by a team of D2 silver drivers, Mr. Osborne himself, Comic Racing Lunar Motorsports, and Selena Boonstra. They're 240 points, so really not much of a difference at all. They could easily switch going into tonight's event. Third position, by the way, Bullion Racing, Dan Rufus, and O Maxwell. There, mix of D2 gold, D4 gold, D2, D4 silver. I keep saying D2. But 215 points, that could easily change as well. But enough with the standing stuff. Let's switch our camera over to our race as the drivers will start their official laps. And here we go. So give us just a second, folks, as I'm switching and getting things rolling here. We got a new overlay as we're kind of messing with a few things tonight. And you guys watching us, give us a little bit of comment and what do you guys think. Gonna try a little bit of a picture-in-picture, you know, sort of pop up to your left-hand side to give you guys a bit more real estate to your right side. And overall, more real estate of racing for you guys to watch, and not many things going on the screen at the same time. Adam's just getting his setup ready. He's adding some technical issues. I think there's always some technical issues here and there, but should have it up and running in just a second. You know, I mean, it happens to me during the race. It will happen during the broadcast. I mean, but we'll get it going right now. I am following Mike Gino on his first lap here around Donington Park. He's been doing quite well since our round 1. And let's switch the camera over to Jess Osborne, our broadcast manager himself. Here is taking part of D4 racing. He's got a great looking Porsche. Comes out that just leading into soon sector 3. Very, very, gotta be very easy on the gas there, not to completely, well, basically oversteer out into the grass. Not like Circuit Americas here, a lot of grass, not much runoff at all. Basically, if you make a mistake, you will be lawn mowing for a while. Gonna keep following Jess around here for one quick lap, go over a few stats here at Donington Park as he's gonna come close to get his first lap in the books. Comes out the hairpin. I'll give you a little lap here. He's gonna head into sector 1, and you're looking at about roughly about 20.5 seconds all the way from the start going to that pit. And not much going on to sector 1. You got to really make sure you nail this turn 1 here so you get a great exit for turns 2, 3, all the way to turn 4 when things can get a little bit more complicated if you don't get the right line. But you can see he's coming down full speed. And goes through that turn number 4, up the hill. Make sure you keep it very tight to your left, wide into your right side. He uses all that curb. And obviously here, you have to have a very, very good exit out of this turn as well, as you can get really loose into that curb. And if it's wet, you want to make sure avoid that at all times, by the way, even though we got a sunny day here at Donington. Comes around, again, another turn. You have to be really, really careful on the gas, or you could lose your rear as he goes down to that chicane. And very crucial here to nail this line if you want to get the most amount of time. And you can cut it quite a bit, but again, of course, if you cut it a little too much, your lap is a goner. As he heads down to the first hairpin all the way at the bottom of the track here. Keep it tight on the inside and try to get as early as you can on the gas without going wide, and invalidate your lap out there to your second hairpin down here as you're going to finish a lap around Donington Park. As we follow him crossing the line as he goes, and he actually give him a little charm of a good luck, puts his, I said it, was going to say he had just the pole until Big Daddy just took that away from him. So he had the pole for about 2 seconds. We'll give him a 2-second pole as he's going to go for another lap. So the drivers are improving on their deltas so far, getting things rolling on their end. And Big Daddy is still holding on to that lead. He is currently on another lap again. Unfortunately, not improve his delta is directly. The car behind Mr. Osborne will switch over to his Porsche. He does have a 27, by the way, first here pole, provisionary pole here at Donington Park. 27.392, so a great lap for folks here at D4, and we should see that improving as they will get the track a little bit more warmed up and getting that optimal line across the track. Usually in ACC here, we talk about if you by the third lap or so, that's when you get your fastest, when your tires are up to PSI and such. So let's switch over to Selena Boonstra towards the end of her lap as she's heading down to the last hairpin. She's improving her delta. She's currently at P6, right behind her teammate, Jess Osborne, only that T4. They actually have the same exact time. I'm not sure how they accomplished that, as Boonstra actually goes and moves up 200ths of a second ahead of Osborne, so they have the same exact time for that lap. Teammates put the same time. I don't even know what to say at this. 2 Porsches. Selena puts her car a little bit faster than Osborne for this temporary P5. Directly behind Boonstra, you see Poe, and he's currently holding P10. He's actually had gone to the pits, and he's still on an out lap, so his lap will not count. Switch over to, right now we have Q Master, by the way. He's improving quite a bit on his lap at this moment, about 300ths of a second. That should net him a few positions if he can nail this hairpin at the end, and it's always so tough here at Donington. And he start to lose a little bit of time, but should move a few spots. Jumps 4 up to P10, so great lap from him. And we're going to switch over to Yazirski, currently P14. Pretty good improvement so far as he goes through the Sector 3 here. Both hairpins. This is basically where I struggle the most. I seem to always overshoot it, and I just don't get a great speed out of it. And it's so nice, though, when you nail both of these hairpins. I mean, that's literally where... That is my absolute flaw. I'm usually a whole second behind those aliens, and it's unfortunate. Yazirski jumps from P15, P7. Heck of a lap here for Yazirski. And we're going to switch the camera over here to Big Daddy, and he was having a pretty good race last week at Circuit Americas. Again, there were a couple of, maybe an incident or two there with, I believe, Dudley. He was able to keep things rolling, but we know he's pretty quick. And he is currently leading the Silvers. D4 Silvers, about a half a second improvement from his best. So it's going to be a huge jump for him. Do-Ride, by the way, Dudley has put in a pretty good lap. He's P2, Gino P3. As Daddy crosses the line and puts a 26.875. So a great lap on his Porsche. Seems like at the moment we have Dudley coming through his McLaren, but might not be able to take that. It's still keep a P2. Improves his lap 27.227. But Big Daddy just holding on strong at the moment. And we're follow here Matthew Harold. He's been having some pretty good races as himself. And he is currently with a little bit of an improvement. I'd say a little bit. That's almost half a second, by the way. And if he keeps this up to Sector 3 here, that would shoot him way up there to P2. Loses a little bit of time on the hairpin again. Very tough to nail that consistently. Still should net him at least P3 from Gino. He abandons. He actually goes and says, I'm not taking this Lapis. That's pretty much the end for the silver drivers out there. A couple of drivers still on their lap. And we're going to switch over to Poe. He's still a valid lap for him, and a couple improvements. See if he's able to keep this delta up compared to Q Masters P14. Poe is at P15 now, so. Poe comes through and decides to just head into the pits and maybe do a practice entry there. Make sure you don't hit that 50 kilometer over 50, and well, that effectively destroys well, your pit and your race. You do not want to be over the limit. The ACC stewards do not have much of a room for mistake there, and he will slap you with that penalty, a drive-through. And well, if you're up there on the front, it's unfortunate, as your race can completely get shut down. So switched over to Pat Cockcroft here, as he will be starting his lap soon. Just ahead of him, another Porsche. Rodriguez, the first D4 Go driver to come through and start their first lap. No, excuse me, it looks like we have Wagner on the opposite side of the track. Looks like looks like a lot of the drivers just... Oh, sorry, excuse me. Wagner is one of the last drivers to be on their out lap. Rodriguez is leading the pack, so my mistake there, folks. Just trying to get the things moving on my screen here as far as our broadcasting app goes, but that fixed now, and we are good. So Rodriguez is the first driver that will be putting a valid lap for the D4 Go drivers, and we'll soon get you guys some deltas and such to give you a comparison. But silver drivers here at D4 have been incredibly quick. As a matter of fact, we have 39 drivers here tonight, and 21 of them, excuse me, 23 of them are D4 silvers, which I don't see that much being silver. Some of these guys are extremely fast. Big Daddy holding on to that provisional pole with a 26.875 lap. That is incredibly quick for a D4 driver. He comes through, and he's actually able to put his car just there at P10, but still a 27.910 for Rodriguez. Following around here with Andrew Berg, he's also put a 27.952. It's pretty good for their first laps. Now Rodriguez with a massive improvement, about to go for his second lap. He's about a half a second up. And that would shoot him way up there to roughly P3, so just behind Daddy and Do-Right. And by the way, just looking there at P3, if you guys take a look there at Boomstra, Selena with a heck of a lap, puts herself on the provisional, I'd say top 3 podium for qualifying. And we're going to switch the camera over to Rodriguez, who has our first D2 Go driver to go, and he has got a hell of an improvement lap. Going through the first hairpin, sector 3. Tried to keep that tight, was a little bit wide there and going to hurt his exit. So there kind of just drops quite a bit. Still was able to hold on and get that P3, send Boomstra to P4. He knows he can do better. Now this is his third lap. Tires should be up to 10. PSIs are nailed, so we'll see if he's able to do it. Slides a little bit out of that T1. So that will definitely hurt his lap going forward. Berg has moved up to P8 with a 27.647, by the way. Getting a little bit slidey there off T1 as well. And who's getting a great lap at them with is Barker. So we have Riley Barker on his BMW. It's about a half a second on his previous best, so that should end in quite a few positions, maybe even all the way up to Rodriguez. So let's keep an eye here on Barker's lap. Comes through and, oof, just a little bit before it's Boomstra's time, so P5 for Barker. Great lap from him. A few of the drivers are coming through, just taking a look at a few of the deltas, but still not able to see much improvement so far. Just switching back here to Herrera, currently towards the rear with a 130. He's improving quite a bit on his lap, but he's he is quite a few seconds behind the driver. So that would actually possibly get him a 35th position, but we'll keep an eye on that. And Mr. Katavakar has not put yet a valid lap. We'll keep an eye on him as well, see where he ends up. And most of the Go drivers, not much of an improvement here. There's about just under 4 minutes left in qualifying. And we're going to switch the camera back to Rodriguez right now. He's got a great exit out of that turn 1, goes to turn 4. Trying to keep that Porsche grounded. Great exit. And if he keeps this up, you know, he made a mistake there towards the sector 3 on his previous lap. If he's able to get that corrected for this lap, and at the current pace, that will net him a pole here at Donington. Gets a great exit there out of, you know that exit. We're heading into sector 3. You need to get really slow on that gas. Make sure that you don't overshoot and lose your grip. Goes through the chicane. Great. Absolutely nails that chicane there for him at his pace. Coming down to the hairpin. We know where he lost most of his time was the last hairpin. So keeping it very tidy there. Rodriguez coming through. So we're going to keep an eye on him. He's literally at the same time as Big Daddy's lap. Keeps it very nice on the inside. Great exit. Looks like Rodriguez is going to go for the pole. Sends his car on the pole. So at 26.762. What a lap from Rodriguez. We're going to switch back the camera to Berg, who's also getting a great lap here. Currently P6. Lose a little bit of time. Might improve and shoots this car up. Takes that position over to, sends Boomstra to P7. So he has a P6. Whitescarver, by the way, gets that P5. Great lap from him. Sends his BMW way up to the top. Got a yellow on the track. Barker goes wide, gets right into the pit, abandons that lap. So Rodriguez nailed that lap there. Looks like his next lap not doing so great, but he's got a provisional pole. Switch the camera over to Wagner, currently going through the last hairpin. He was your race winner for Circuit of the Americas. Remember that. He had a great race. Pretty good battle with No Maxwell, who I don't see here tonight. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but it looks like Maxwell might his drop round, as I do not see him as one of the drivers here tonight. And Wagner does a great lap there towards the end, puts his car on P6. Still about a half a second from Rodriguez up there for pole. That was a heck of a lap from Rodriguez. I'll switch over to here. We have Peter Reynolds with a pretty good improvement as well. That should net him a few spots up as a Go driver, maybe a P10. Possibly, oh my goodness, quite a few things changing around. Reynolds crosses the line, but not able to improve there towards the end. Quite a few shuffle. Berg comes through with a heck of a lap, 27.265, puts it himself in P4. And that drops Whitescarver now to P6. As we have about just over 30 seconds left in qualifying. So this is for Berg, that would be his last lap. He wants to make sure he tries to get as much as he can there, tries to send his car to the top. But what a lap from Rodriguez. You got to give that to him. That is a monster lap, 26.762. Switch the camera over to Wagner as he crosses the line, loses a little bit of time on exit. Able to cross the line there and maybe go for another lap there. Was just right at the limit, trying to go for another lap. And we'll see Wagner would be the last driver to cross for his valid lap. We'll switch back to him in a little bit. We're going to switch back to Berg now, who's got going through the hairpin, Whitescarver ahead of him. He does have a little bit of an improvement. He wants that P3 from Do-Right. And he looks like he's very even on his delta at the moment. Whitescarver abandoned his lap, and Berg keeps it very, very tidy on the exit. Might take that position very close on exit, but just not able to take that. Dudley Do-Right takes that P3 for now. A couple of drivers still out on the track. We have Andrew, who crosses the line again, takes that P6. Whitescarver to P7. And a couple of drivers have already gone into the pit. Wagner abandoned his lap. We have Payan coming through, puts a heck of a lap there towards the end, moves up to P8, sends Wagner to P9. A couple of drivers still going through the last few hairpins. We have Katavakar coming through. And again, he didn't have a lap for a while there, but he's got a P23rd at the moment. He should be an improvement here, might have moved up. Let's see, yep, send his cars to P18, so a great lap there for Katavakar right towards the end. And that's quali, folks. Quali, folks, we are getting things ready to get, well, we're getting ready to get started on the race. So absolute monster lap from Rodriguez there, P1 pole lap. Daddy in P2, Dudley Do-Right P3, and then Berg with that P4, Barker P5, and Drew P6. White's cover P7, Payan P8, Wagner puts in a P9, and then Cockcroft is your P10, top 10 for you guys. And let's get things moving here on our overlays. And Adam should be back in just a bit, guys, as he had some technical issues, and I had technical issues on the race. And we're just getting things started here at Donington Park for you guys. 1 hour race, folks. 1 hour long. And well, we got about a minute and a half left here on our starting our race. Let's move over to our, let's try to get a couple of these liveries out of the way for you guys. I know we always try to get the grid and try to get as much as we can. So we're going to switch over to Rodriguez here at the pole. And let's get out of his car for just a little bit. Got about a minute left. And there's your pole starter, folks. Rodriguez, Bandy Brew sponsorship. Looks really, really good. This guy, look at it. He's just moving his tires left and right. You know, he's got speed. All right, folks, we got Big Daddy on your right side. Do-Right has been doing great. P3, we got Berg, has always been on top this season. P4. We got Barker, P5, and Drew, White Scarver. Speed is up. Payan, Wagner, Cockcroft, Boostra. We have Gino, Laflamme. We have Rose, Harold, Reynolds, Yasirski, Katavakar, Osborne, Wicks, Ruzik. Whoa, these cars dropped there. He's getting ready to get into out for their formation lap. We have Ruzik, Walkowicz. Well, we're going to get this name correct tonight. Walkowicz. That's not Walkowicz. Walkowicz. There we go. We have Sadat, Sweeney, Space Barker, Grover, Lee, Master, Poe, Morrison, Daniels, Tibbets, Otero, Rufus, Watts, Friday, Herrera, Rodriguez, and Adams, who looks like he might have just gone to the pit right there towards the end. Hopefully everything is okay with his car. But looks like it will be a pit start from him. He is into the pits at the moment as Rodriguez is leading us for the formation lap. And if you guys are on the chat, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope you guys enjoy the show. We're just getting things started. Again, Donington Park, it is a track most folks are familiar with. So we expect a lot close battles versus Circuit of America's Coda, which not many folks were that familiar with. And that caused quite a few. I mean, I would say Wagner took that win by quite a bit of, by a huge amount of seconds, again, with Maxwell being that P2. He was on a absolute tear trying to hunt Wagner down for the win. He had new tires. He took tires he didn't mean to. Unfortunately, we do not see Maxwell here tonight. Maybe his drop round. I sure hope to see him back next week in Nürburgring.
Yeah, absolutely. A pretty strong season from him so far. There's a reason he's leading the individual driver points after 2 rounds so far in the season. We
do see Rodriguez there. I didn't see him had the best round 1 and 2 on for Rodriguez, but he came out here at Donington and just put an absolute monster lap for that pole. Almost a 26, basically 26 and a half, which is extremely fast. D2, D1 times there for Rodriguez. But, you know, sometimes you're really good at one track. Sometimes you're not. Like, I'm a perfect example. I can do couple of good tracks I have a few very, very quick laps, and then some of them I just absolutely terrible. Coda being one of them last week, and didn't help much. I had technical issues, so that was terrible.
Well, if it's any consolation, you definitely weren't alone in your dislike of Coda, and just last week overall, there's quite a few drivers who definitely were ready for that race to end, whether or not they did well or otherwise.
Yeah, I heard a lot of the chatter on our Discord here for SRA. People like, oh man, I just hate this track. I hate this track. Everybody just hates this track, but you know, we still went through it. It's a track that you have to get on the flow pretty well to get things rolling. And then we're talking about Coda, guys. So once you do, it's fun. But if you don't get on the flow...
But enough of that.
Yes, enough of Coda, guys. We are Donington.
Past is past. We're moving on to Donington. We're going to have a good time with just an hour to go here. And getting ready to take the green. As we round turn 12, coming on to the front straight. Rodriguez bringing them to the green. Watching for the lights now.
Green light. Give it all you got.
And we are underway at Donington. Good launch for Big Daddy on the outside through turn 1. He's going to stay... Oh, and steals the lead from Rodriguez. Rodriguez lifts off on exit.
Yeah, it looks like Big Daddy had quite a bit of a leap there even at the start. His car was quite ahead of Rodriguez for the start. I'm not sure if Rodriguez had an issue there getting his car positioned for that P1 start. But he's under pressure now by Durag Dudley. The top 4 keeping it pretty tidy, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dudley with a lot of pace this weekend. I know some drivers mentioned practice that he's going to be one to watch during this race to challenge the Porsches of Big Daddy and Rodriguez.
And we do have 2 yellows back there. Looks like Cockcroft and Lee might have been involved in some kind of issue. And excuse me, Lee actually. Cockcroft just dropped to the rear. We didn't catch that on the stream, but he had qualified quite a bit up ahead now. Hope everything's okay. At least it's the beginning of the race. So it looks like Rodriguez going for the lunge there at hairpin, but under attack by Dudley too. So, oof. And Space Baker as well. A yellow back at the hairpin, dropping quite a few positions as Daddy holds on to that lead. We'll see which drivers decide to take that pit right here on lap 1. Looks like none of the leaders do.
None so far. Pretty even spread. You'll notice the drivers taking every inch of track on the entry to turn 1. Extending themselves all the way into the pit exit, actually, to make that corner, to maximize their angle to hit the apex and carry as much speed as possible off of the corner.
Up the hill they go, really close to using as much track as they can, including the curbs. Now, Daddy does have a great exit here. Daddy, again, was having a great race there at Coda, just involved a little bit of an incident early and just dropped a few positions, but it looks like he's holding on to the lead for quite a, well, so far lap 2 here with us at Donington. Everybody's still pretty close together, folks. You see the track map on your right-hand side. It's a huge snake coming down all the way through the hairpin, all the way from the turn, which is with Lee, again, who got involved into a little bit of an incident. He's already catching up the whole snake, so a few drivers have already pit, by the way. You can see them on your left side of the track. Got that out of the way. Looks like Gino, Rodriguez, Ruffus, Cockcroft, and Space Baker have already taken care of their pit stop as Daddy under attack from Rodriguez, turn 1. Rodriguez with the fastest lap, by the way, at 28.617, slightly faster than Daddy, so Daddy's going to be under some pressure from Rodriguez here, as these two were the top 2 qualifiers, making use of their Porsches here at Donington. gets right along with Rodriguez for just a bit. And again, you folks watching us here tonight, I appreciate you tuning in. We're trying a few little tweaks here to our stream, giving you guys a little bit more real estate to be able to watch the races here with us. Let us know, give us your feedback. I also can check our Discord. If you have not part of our Discord, SRA, check the link in our description there. Join in, have a chat with the guys here that race with us. We have a huge community of drivers, 6 divisions. Doesn't matter what pace you're in, you will find somebody you can race with, folks.
Absolutely pretty even spread in the top 3 as they navigate turn 12, coming back to the stripe. Just about 5 minutes into this race so far.
And now Big Daddy has opened up a little bit of a gap. Again, not major by any means, but just about under a second, who is followed pretty closely by Dudley there, do right. And Berg, who had a great start as well. He's following pretty close on that P4. We have Barker, P5. And Drew on that P6 with White Scarver and P7, followed really closely by Wagner for that P7 position. Wagner, P8, and Boomstra not too far back on her Porsche. So let's keep an eye here on this battle for this P7 position.
Yeah, Wagner, of course, last week's winner. And we'll be expecting him to do all right today. But in some pre-race comments, he didn't think he quite had the pace he did last week. Of course, missing that first week, put himself right back into contention with that win. And we'll see what he can do here today to try to help himself walk his way back up the leaderboard in the individual standings and also the team standings. Of course, his teammate, Corey Nesbitt, is out this week, just was not able to make the timing work to make the race.
And drivers have kept it pretty clean here so far. D4, also one of the divisions. I mean, I know we had quite a few issues there actually with some drivers at Coda. Some server issues that was actually affecting quite a few drivers. There are turn 1 incidents, but you can see here at Donington, everybody's kept it pretty clean, just maybe an incident or two or a driver mistake. But it's also Donington Park, not the easiest track to overtake, just a few overtaking points, and you almost have to send it in a sense. So
yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be demand absolute perfection from these drivers this week. So many of these drivers know this track inside and out and all the intricacies of it. So to improve spots and get yourself a good finish is going to require perfection everywhere, including, of course, the pits as they choose to do that. But we'll see how that strategy plays out, as we haven't really had anyone head into pit lane yet. Of course, big point here always is pit exit. So you see pit exit as we come back out of turn 12 next time. You'll see that pit exit dumps right into the racing line. So getting up to speed quickly before turn 1 and being sure to avoid all the cars that are using that pit exit to gain a wide entry to turn 1 is going to be crucial to avoid trouble for yourself and, of course, the other drivers.
yeah, and a reminder, everybody, here during the race, if you're on track, you do not have the right of way as far as your racing line goes. As we all know, we use part of the pit exit to get a great turn 1 turn in, and then obviously get a good speed down the hill. Qualifying is a different story, where you do have a little bit of preference when you're trying to get your lap going. But here during the race, if you are coming down the straight and people are exiting the pits, you must avoid that. You're not going to see any drivers try to take that line. Obviously, the pit, somebody exiting the pit does not have any room to go, where you, as a driver on track, would have to give some room for them to exit. So it'll be interesting to see, as some drivers might be towards the later end of the race, You're coming out of the pits. They were pretty close battling on the track, and then they cannot take the proper line since somebody's actually out of the pit. So Poyon gets really, really close there to Zurski, and who gets Walkowicz. Almost a little bit of a tap there, but nothing major. And let's take a quick look at the top folks here. Looks like Daddy has opened up quite a bit of a lead now, as looks like his previous lap was a 28.375, and his best lap was, was a 27.870. The previous three drivers, Rodriguez, Dudley, and Berg, have just put their best lap of the session, but that gave a little bit of room for Daddy to just kind of gets away a little bit, gets a little bit sloppy there on that turn.
About 10 minutes into the race now. Everybody's tires up to temperature. We're going to see some hot lapping here as drivers start to get settled in and spread out, creating gaps to each other. It's especially toward the front, it's going to be a bit of a hot lap. But looking back to Rose and the Flam, definitely a little spicy back here. We've seen them pretty much all over each other for the last 2 laps or so.
Yeah, this group up front, all within a second from each other, all the way down to basically, I mean, we have Daddy there with leading, but from P2 all the way to P9, basically, we have a, oh, excuse me, as I was talking about, looks like Whitescover made a mistake on the hairpin. Not sure if we caught that on, trying to get that on camera, but let's take a quick, let's go rewind it just a second and see what happened. And looks like a little bit of a tap there. Looks like, not sure who, what is a little bit of, almost a little smallest tap on the hairpin. Looks like Wagner that actually puts him out, and that gave Boomstra the position as well. So Boomstra moved up. Now Wagner P8, Whitescarver down to P9. So not much time lost, but some minor bump.
And as we were watching that replay, they actually made contact yet again with 2 BMWs of Whitescarver and Rose, which allowed Harold to actually gain position in that number 366 McLaren.
I'll switch back here currently in P23, by the way, BMW. Looks like the teammates, Otero and Herrera, kind of following close to each other. A little bit of a team maybe battle going on between the 2 BMW drivers. And just further back just a bit, we have Lee, followed very close by Friday. And these drivers have not yet pit. Friday trying to make a move there up the hill. And Lee just kind of shut the door a bit, said, not here. And Friday just kind of got the memo, says, all right, maybe next time. But Friday really deep into the brakes. But Lee gets a better exit speed here, more grip. A little bit of breathing room for Lee. Into the dangerous chicane they go through down to Sector 3 down at the hairpin. Great looking livery by Lee, by the way. I always say that. He's got all those pandas stamped all around his AMG. Switch over to some helicam battles here. We're going to switch down to Katovkar currently on P16, followed really closely by Sadat. And then not too far back behind, you'll see him maybe on camera soon when the helicopter moves around. We have Wicks coming down there not too far. And again, switch back over here with Whitescarver, Wagner, Harold, and LaFlamme. It's a battle for that P8 again after that small touch between the drivers. Whitescarver takes the inside, right side part of the chicane, just super deep. Make sure also really careful on that hairpin, that chicane, as, I mean, you can cut it quite well if you want, but it's a very fine line between a track cut and, of course, after your third track cut, well, you're gonna get a drive-through, so you do not want to see that. We didn't see any at Coda. It's very interesting. Everybody kept it pretty solid.
No, we didn't. I guess commentators curse on ourselves. We say that's going to be talk of the day, is trying to avoid those penalties. And then, as we see an off there,
Looks
two
like
drivers
Berg
in the
and
sand trap.
Barker. Let's take a look at the replay and see what happened here, folks. And it looks like, whoa! Looks like there was a tap, and I'm not sure I caught that on time. Barker and Berg were involved into that tap, right? I caught them right at the end. I want to go too far back on the replay. But yeah, that has dropped Barker to P11, Berg down to P15, and right ahead of Sweeney, excuse me, behind Sweeney was now P14. So we didn't see exactly what happened there between the drivers. Stewards will take a look and see, but it looks like Barker might have, from the looks of it, maybe, and again, I might be incorrect, but it looks like might have maybe a little too deep on the brakes and ended up spinning Berg for that turn 1, and we'll see that later on.
That incident's going to move Boonstra up to 5th, Whitescarver to 6th, Wagner to 7th, so solidly in the top 10 for those drivers. Boonstra with another strong showing after making up 31 positions last week.
Yeah, an absolute animal there by Boonstra. That is one of the best races I've seen, coming from 31 positions in the race. That kept it clean, was able to keep herself out of trouble, and heck of a position. No one being, obviously, herself and Osborne are second place on the team championship, so
yeah, it'd be nice if we had that data, but I'm sure she's definitely, Boonstra is definitely going to be up there for most passes this season so far after coming back from the back of the field. Again, just an amazing drive last week. And another solid start this week. I'm sure she's happy she got a little better qualifying position this time around to not have to pass quite as many.
just going in car cam here, cockpit with Boonstra for a sec. She does have Andrew right ahead of her, not just under half a second, so she's moving up the field here. Andrew, a very, very good driver himself. Goes around that chicane. And she does have about a second gap from her Porsche and Whitescarver, who is now in P6. Again, a little bit of a tap earlier there on the hairpin that she's just gone through, but right back in business he goes. And you can see Whitescarver getting close to this battle for P4. And Daddy, by the way, who had opened up quite a bit of a gap between himself and Rodriguez. Rodriguez has been keeping that gap, just about a 2-second gap between P1 and P2. Now, previous lap for Daddy was about a half a second slower than Rodriguez. So Rodriguez knows if he's not under attack by Dudley, who was in P3, maybe keep it consistent, he might be able to catch him. And remember, make sure you nail your pit stops here, guys. That could easily change things at the top. And we do have Boonstra putting some pressure here for Andrew for that P4. She wants that position, and so far she's moved up 6 spots, by the way. She started P11. So again, just racking up the field, folks. She's extremely quick.
Absolutely, and to add a little more context to this battle, these positions are all making a difference in the overall team standings with her team, Comic Racing, Luna Motorsports, with her teammate, Jess Osborne, being in second place to THR Boot right now. That, of course, being Sweeney and Berg. With Berg just having trouble, this definitely this looks like an opportunity for Boonstra.
And we do have, by the way, Osborne has already taken care of his pit stop. So that leaves Boonstra as her teammate. His teammate, we'll see what that happens. But this is a pretty long train here going away from P5. If you look at all the way down to P10, basically, we're basically 12 laps in, and there's less than a second from each other. And so far, the drivers have been able to keep it pretty clean here on the top 10.
Absolutely. And a bit of surprise for me. I figured the BMWs might be the dominant cars today, being that they take curbs rather well. But I guess since the most recent patch, and the tire changes and everything, all the cars take it a little bit better. So we see some dominant Porsches throughout the day, just climbing their way through the field, and we got 3 just in the top 5.
Let's go ahead and switch this over. Just switching back. There's a little bit of a battle going on here for P11. Yuzerski under attack by Wolkowicz, who's been doing quite well, and we did see him a little bit up more on the standings at Coda. He's actually moved up 10 spots so far, so good for him. It's P22. He's at P12, trying to attempt an overtake here on Yuzerski into the hairpin. He brakes it. Yuzerski says, "I want none of that." Just lets that BMW through, doesn't want to get involved into any issues here at the hairpin. Collects another position, now up to P11, so great drive from Wolkowicz. I'm always going to make a mistake on that name. I'll learn eventually. I will definitely get that correct. Matthew, I will get that right. And this little mini train there for P4. Andrew holding it strong still. And the Porsche with that exit speed out of turns. But McLaren just absolute speed at the end of straights is really, really tough. And this is the kind of situation where what would you do, Adam? Would you prefer to just head into the pits and maybe get that out of the way? You know, maybe I have a little bit of better pace. Take my my luck out into the pit. Maybe I come out on a clear track. I mean, you can see her trying pretty hard, so.
I mean, that all depends. We've had a lot of people pit already, and you're almost taking a bit of a risk that you're going to get dumped out right in the middle of a few people as you exit the pits. At this point, if you got the pace and you think you can make the pass at some point, sure, it might be challenging, but I think if she can make this pass and get a little bit of breathing room before she has to make that pit stop, I think it'll be good for her overall. And, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, they're about to go for another lap through here. We'll see if any of these drivers decide to possibly head into the pit, but it looks like it's a no. They're all going go for it. And it's a
I mean, and that's the temptation too. You're a racer. You're in a tight battle like this. It's just so much fun. Adrenaline's pumping. Of course, you're going to want to go for it.
Is that you want that position on track? I will take
exactly.
You. So.
Positions in the pit, anyone can do that. Positions on the track, that's something else.
Up the hill they go, and this train has kept it pretty good. This is the longest train I've seen, like 14 laps in, folks. And just to give you an update for the leader, again, just follow him along really quickly with Big Daddy. Rodriguez now just about a second and a half behind, so not too far back. Yes, he's closing in the gap. Previous lap, Daddy actually opened up just a little bit, but he was about a second, 1.5 seconds. Now it's just about 1.7.
Yeah, today if he can stay where he's at, it's definitely be a good points day for the Rapid Raccoons team and in their Porsches. Big Daddy definitely had some troubles at Coda, seemed to be involved in quite a few incidents, but definitely turned it around this week and flexing some muscle here in that 54 Porsche.
We saw White Scarver go a little too deep there on the first hairpin, open up a little bit of room for Harold and Wagner. But now Wagner trying to attempt an overtake here in turn 1 out of the exit. These are equal cars. McLaren's very tough to get that done, as he's actually fallen really close by LaFlamme. So little McLaren train going on behind and Drew leading the train, and then we have a Porsche, BMW, and then 3 McLarens. Wagner trying to position himself, gets super close to Harold, but
ooh, he had to lift off a little bit on exit of that turn to keep from getting an off track, and that allowed LaFlamme to close right in again.
And again, yeah, these guys have been following each other really, really close. So you can see here, make sure you get that best exit. Now they're heading into that chicane. It's not the most friendly place to try and overtake, but you never know.
Definitely not. And the downside of this track is most of your overtaking is going to happen under braking, which can be high risk. It depends on, you got to know the drivers around you, and you got to really know the capabilities of your own car and yourself as a driver to ensure that both you and the other driver stay safe as you're trying to make those moves. And we see that this battle just isn't getting any farther away. Can't quite pull a gap on Boonstra here, and she can't quite make the pass. But they're still both making time. They're still gapping or creating more of a gap back to White's car over there.
Yeah, and a quick update on the leaders. Looks like Rodriguez might have made a mistake. There were a battle with Dudley, P2, P3, as their previous lap times were on the 29s. And they gave Daddy a little bit of a more breathing room, about 2.5 seconds now ahead of everybody else on the field. Oh, excuse me, ahead of P2. So.
And we're seeing a little bit of tire degradation come into play already. You've seen about a 120, high 28, low 29 average in the field, whereas the best lap was obviously set by Big Daddy earlier on with 127.8. So about roughly a second of fall off already.
And I'm taking a quick replay here. Lee looks like he he just had a little too much left off the rear and oversteered into turn 1.
Very lucky not to get collected by anyone else there. Squeaked by just barely in front of the pack, and kept it clean though, so should be able to carry on and maybe make up a couple spots after that mistake.
And I'm going to switch the camera to Sweeney, who has already pit, by the way. He is under some pressure from Osborne. And McLaren versus Porsche battle going on here as Osborne's trying to maybe get a better exit out of the chicane. Sweeney breaks it. Osborne says, not this time, not just yet. Maybe attempting to... And so obviously have to look where you can get a better exit the entire lap and attempt an overtake where you know you have a... obviously your car... This is a battle of different two cars, so McLaren and Porsche. Porsche is great on exit. So if he's able to time his lap right around off the exit here, for instance, he might be able to challenge Sweeney for that turn 1, but he's just not able to keep it close enough. And these drivers have already pitted, folks, so this is currently Sweeney in P22, and once all the drivers are ahead of him pit, that should move quite a bit. So,
and just a reminder, these two drivers actually battling, or these two teams actually battling for that points lead this far. So far, Sweeney being on THR Boot and Osborne being on Comic Racing Lunar Motorsports in second by about 27 points. So definitely trying to make up some ground today. We'll see. They probably will. Boonstra's P5. Let's see. Berg struggling still. Berg listed as 31st as of now. So definitely a long climb up if they want to keep that gap in points.
yeah, the standings for teams should get shuffled quite a bit here, considering that Selena is way up there on the standings with Sweeney basically P22, and then Osborne and then Berg currently towards the rear. And it looks like Friday was involved in an incident here. He's back on track. Looks like it was out of that turn 4, where if you take it a little too harsh, well, you can understeer yourself out into the grass, and you know that you can game over for you. Try to get back on track. So
Sweeney pulls a little bit of a gap there for Osborne. Now he's going to put the pressure on Yezerski for that 21st spot, I believe. He's going to make that pass now.
he does. There's a better exit there. Looks like it's a whole battle there. Looks like Osborne himself just tried to take the inside. Sweeney says, no, not this time. So he holds on strong on that position, but he's basically trying to attack his Zurski back. And he's got to worry about now on the inside again, under attack by Osborne and trying to attack Yuzerski for that P21st position, P21. And there's a huge group of cars ahead, by the way, all within basically a half a second of each other. Directly ahead of Yuzerski, we have Harold, Payan, and Rose. Sweeney has a pretty good exit there. Looks like a battle between 3 manufacturers to get a Lamborghini, a McLaren, and a Porsche. Gets a little bit slidey out of turn 1, but so does Yuzerski, and Osborne just kind of keeping an eye on these two, maybe trying to, if anything happens between these two, I'll get 2 positions. But they're driving pretty close, as he does have a better exit out of turn 4. Again, we talked about planning your attack, and now Osborne right behind Sweeney, who is extremely close to Yuzerski. Sweeney goes on the inside for the defense, says Osborne, not this time around, and oh my goodness, right in between, shutting the door on Osborne. Osborne, he's not letting that go.
Yeah, I think Osborne thought better of that. He saw Sweeney wiggle just a little bit and probably got a little bit nervous. I know I would have too. If I was him, I'd almost let Sweeney go after Yuzerski here and try to make a hole there that I can follow him through, rather than put myself at risk trying to dive to the inside. Because we've seen Sweeney be assertive. I know if you recall back to Coda, he made a pretty gutsy 3-wide pass in the final corner to gain several spots at the same time right before an incident happened behind him.
Yeah, that was
he's definitely no stranger to that.
No, racecrafts, when he's known him for a while, he's got extremely great racecraft, and he knows how to defend and attack at the same time. And yeah, last turn at Coda, I mean, was either he attacked or he would lose the position and made the move, was able to stick. I know he's in P21 at the moment. Again, a lot of drivers still have to pit, so we'll keep an eye on him. Now switch that really just right ahead of these folks driving also Herrera. He does have Harold, Payan, and Rose, so 2 real battles going on. Yuzerski leading that group, and Herrera leading this group with his BMW. And a little update there at the top for you guys, just so you know, Rodriguez still on that P2, Big Daddy leading. Dudley Do-Right just under half a second behind Rodriguez. They are getting into some traffic as they're both very close to one another. Looks like, cannot tell who that McLaren was, but he got the heck out of the way to let these two go, so. Dudley gets a little bit squiggly there out of the turn. He's able to correct it, but loses some time. That gives a little bit of breathing room for Rodriguez. We're going to switch just a little bit behind him. Whitescarver, P5, just ahead of Wagner, and these two have been pretty close to one another the entire race. This is where there's a little bit of contact between the drivers early. It looks like Whitescarver goes wide. That will give it rough room to the Wagner, but the hairpin does not favor him. It will favor Whitescarver. Lay breaks it. Will try to do a little bit of a cross on exit, but he will have the outside line, but not enough. That BMW is able to, Whitescarver able to keep it ahead. So good battle going on here, but that P5. And Wagner, a race winner for Coda. So he's doing pretty well so far. He's actually moved up 3 spots. He qualified at P9, is in P6. Walkowicz, by the way, 14 positions gained so far on the race. So he's way there in P22, is at P8, folks. A lot of drivers have already pit, and he has to pit himself, but still, outstanding job so far from him. Otero is in the pits, drops down to P24 so far, a couple more positions. And we're going to switch back here to, yeah, Yasirski, Sweeney, and Osborne battle. And doesn't look like this is going to be over anytime soon. These drivers have already pit, so unless somebody comes out of the pits that would affect any of their lines, I mean, this is going to be for another 26 minutes, folks. These guys are going to be there for 26 minutes, pending any issues, but they've kept it pretty stable and steady since they've got together here after pitting, so. And just a reminder, Sweeney started P24 and Yasirski P17. This will change once drivers are ahead of them pit, so. Let's keep an eye on this. Let's take a look at Sweeney's car just for a bit here. Take a little ride on his cockpit as he's getting a lot of traffic ahead of him, and they're all kind of becoming bunched up together. You can take a look at our TV camera there on the bottom left-hand side. One driver moves the heck out of the way. There was nothing to do with that battle. And another, again, this is what we talked about earlier. People exiting the pits. It can become quite a mess. Look, a tap. Oh, I'm jinxing, man. I'm jinxing, folks. Yes. Wicks got right in between Sweeney and Osborne. I was just talking about that, and it's almost like I'm either jinxing or just predicting stuff here.
Yeah, absolutely. We warned about the pit road at beginning of the broadcast. We knew it'd be an issue at some point. Been clean so far, but every time we come to Donington, it's definitely an issue. And we see Wicks actually puts a bit of a block on Osborne. Osborne had gotten back to Sweeney's bumper, but Wicks slotted right in between the two and might be holding up Osborne a little bit at this point.
We're going to go a little bit of a wing view here with Yasirski. And again, Yasirski, who was not ahead. Again, I believe he actually came out of the pits ahead of Sweeney. And now Wicks, who came out in between, basically. Osborne just a little too late there. Just was not able to get his car. And now he's got to overtake two folks if he's going to go for that overtake. And Sweeney,
Sweeney dives
deep.
it.
Wow. Switch to this
deep
camera.
into turn 12, completes the pass. What a move. Hey, we told you he wasn't afraid to be aggressive if he had to be. Eventually, it was going to come down to, hey, am I going to improve my position or am I going to ride back here all day?
Oh, my goodness. That was an unbelievable move. He just did not. I don't think Yasirski was expecting that on the inside of the hairpin. You just saw the McLaren on that inside. He said, all right, I can turn here and forget it. Wow.
Absolutely.
What a move. And now Sweeney they're catching up that group ahead of him who has been battling themselves. So we have Rose, Payan, Harold, and Herrera all basically becoming a huge group. And you can see here from Sweeney's cockpit camera, they battling, again, obviously battling on track over and over, but looks like this group behind was battling, but pacing a little bit better than the folks ahead of them, so they've closed in.
Sweeney already building quite a gap from Yasirski after just passing him, as Osborne finally gets by Wicks for the 20th position to try to follow Sweeney through if possible.
Well, one thing
really late breaks there for Rose.
Goes out
off
there.
into the sand trap. Just barely avoided the wall there.
Oof. Drops basically 3 spots all the way through Osborne. It was already overtaking Wicks, by the way. So he's made it through, but now he's got to catch Yasirski, and Sweeney's getting away. Wow.
Yeah, it's a pileup. Let's jump right ahead of Sweeney there. See a pretty good battle there.
Yeah, everybody's bunched up all together, as we can see. Looks like Harold gets a little bit of a bump on the inside curb. And that gives a little bit of room for Sweeney. Now, well, I'm sure Sweeney knows. Whoa, whoa! That looks like a little bit of a ascent on turn 1 there. Looks like might have been too late on the brakes. Ooh. Harold just parked in the middle of the track. He holds his brakes, does a good job there, make sure nobody taps him. But I think Sweeney might have been a little break on those, late on the brakes. But then now he's dropped to P22. Not too far back from that group, though.
Not bad, but you hate to see all that work to go to right waste. And now he's definitely going to have some hot tires.
Now he is right behind Grover on that BMW, excuse me, that Lamborghini. So he's got about 20 minutes. I don't think this battle is nowhere near over. But yes, you're right. That would be, his tires might be a little bit cooked after that slide. And Harold dropped 2 spots behind. So basically Andrew behind Swinney. And then Harold coming back there, so. And the biggest benefactor for this so far for that whole battle, Yezerski, who's actually came out just a half a second behind Payant and Herrera. They're battling for that P14.
Yeah, just now noticing another driver we are without is Ruzic. That's Grover's teammate, the Lamborghini we were just looking at a minute ago.
Yeah, you're correct. Missing a few guys. Also, again, Maxwell, heck of a race there at Coda. He's not racing tonight.
Yeah, he gave himself a pretty good points pad before he took a week off.
He pushed it really hard. As you can see, to Andrew on the inside of Swinney, trying to make a move. This will favor Andrew. Andrew says he backed out. Says, I'm not going to get any of this on this turn. You know, where things can go wrong quite often, but Swinney's able to hold on to that position.
Yeah, I'm not sure how Sweeney's tires are doing. He definitely seems to be falling off a little bit. He's was closed up on Grover, and now he's fallen back quite a ways, and now he's going to get passed yet again by Andrew.
Just a little bit further ahead, we have Herrera leading that pack. A little bit spread out. He has Payant behind him, but not too far back is Yezerski. Again, the biggest winner from that whole battle that happened for quite a long time. Here at P10, by the way, Morrison has overtaken Watts right on the hairpin at the end, so gained another position, dropped Watts to P11. Now switch the camera to Gino. We hadn't seen much of him. He had a great round 1. Was there up on the podium. He's actually being followed really close by Berg. Was on that turn 1 contact with Barker. Was actually just right ahead of him. We have somebody exiting the pits. We have Daniels just merging in. Looks like these guys got a little bit lucky as he slotted right in between them. Didn't necessarily affect their lap much, but he's dropped 2 spots. We have Cockcroft ahead of Barker, and Barker, Daniels, Gino, and Berg. Just about over 18 minutes left on the race tonight, folks. And again, thank you for joining us on the broadcast. If you're just tuning in, we are racing here at Donington Park. We've got about 18 minutes left in our tonight's race. Is our round 3 here at SRA. If you want to get more info, if you have not joined our community yet, check out the description, our Discord, join right in, have some fun, talk to the drivers. We have multiple divisions, different skill set. Join in, I'm sure you will slot right in with somebody. So. And we're going to switch the camera over to Whitescarver, who has been having a pretty good race himself, but he is followed really, really close. A little battle of BMWs between himself and Walkowicz. And it looks like Walkowicz has a better exit into the first hairpin, but still not able to get around. He's trying to bait Whitescarver on the inside there. Whitescarver says, nope, I'll keep my line. These drivers have not yet pit. And I just talked about it. Whitescarver into the pit he goes. And Walkowicz says, I'm good. I will stick around for another few laps.
Looks like that's going to move Whitescarver's teammate in the 32 BMW. That's Katovkar. up to the 8th position. You know, swap positions there during the pit cycle.
Yeah, and he's kept the race pretty quiet there, Godovka. I know he hasn't not yet pitted, but he's doing quite well. He's actually started as far as positions, gained 10 spots. It was P18. He had a pretty good lap there towards the end. Now, one driver I do have to mention who has, again, he has not yet pit, but Morrison, he started way back there, P30, and so has Watts. P35, they've moved up over 20 spots on the race. I know they're on the back track, on the back train of drivers that have not yet pit, but I wouldn't see them losing that many positions by a pit here at Donington. So it's been a positive race for those two so far.
Absolutely. As we continue to watch Godovka, or as we switch away from him, rather, just a reminder, that's Red Eye Plan E Racing, and they're currently sitting 5th in points, only a couple points behind Madhouse Racing.
We didn't catch it on the stream, folks, as we were following all these drivers around, but Dudley has taken the P2 from Rodriguez. He's made that overtake and opened up a little bit of a gap as well, and he's on a hunt now for Big Daddy. Now, remember, back at Coda, the incident that unfortunately cost Do-Right at Dudley on their position there up top was a little bit of a battle between himself and Big Daddy. So Dudley, I'm sure he's on a mission now. He wants to catch him. He wants to go for that. He wants to take that P1. So we'll keep a close eye here at Dudley. His previous lap was a little bit not as quickly as he's been, but it's still half a second faster than Big Daddy. So Do-Right here on a mission.
Yeah, absolutely. Closing that gap all the way down to just 1.1 seconds now. As mentioned, 4/10 faster than Big Daddy, your leader for now. And just a note, as we're watching this battle, Boonstra pitted this last lap. Come in for service, and looks like comes out P7.
She did. She had about an 11-second pit stop, so maybe a little bit of a, I'm not sure if it was damage or not, or maybe added some extra fuel if she didn't have it up to start the race. Pit stop, obviously, we know is we want to be around that 5-second mark. Here at Donington's about 29 seconds from in and out of the pits. So she spent a little bit of extra time. That could cost her some positions as they were racing pretty close up there with the top 10, basically. But P7 so far after pitting, great result for her so far. Just give you an update here. Previous lap by Dudley there, Do-Right, 28.342, and Big Daddy with a 28.445. So Big Daddy's seeing that gap close in. You know, Do-Right is just absolutely on target here. He wants that P1, and he does not want it on the pits. He's going to get close to Big Daddy, and we'll see what happens, folks. I got 13 minutes left of this, and they both have to pit.
Closing that gap pretty good, hard on the brakes under turn 12, gets on the inside of Big Daddy. Big Daddy swings wide on the exit, but he uses that Porsche acceleration to get back ahead before turn 1.
Taking some really, look at that. They're going side by side, folks, onto turn 1.
Do-Right just getting such a good exit on these corners, being able to carry the speed, but then you see that Porsche acceleration, just rear end hooks up and it just pulls right alongside.
And not too far back, Rodriguez just sort of following, you know, these two battling. That might give room for Rodriguez to join in. If these two are battling and Rodriguez can keep his his laps on more of a hot lapping pace, then he'll catch up to these folks. As Dudley trying to go on the inside, but oof.
That off was the McLaren, 89 McLaren of Daniels. With, GRR, cheaper than therapy racing. As we see Cockcroft and Harold tangle, they're both off track now. Looks like heavy damage to the rear end of Harold there.
And just quickly switching for, as Wagner has already pit himself, and he came out directly behind Boonstra. on that pit stop, and it was a great pit stop from Wagner. It was a 5-second, 28-second into pit, and I know Boonstra had already kind of pulled away from the group ahead, and Wagner comes back and holding that P7 for now, so great stop from him. Now Boonstra's going to have to worry about that McLaren to the end of the race. We'll see if Wagner is able to possibly attempt an overtake here on that Porsche.
It's going to be interesting. Wagner's still going to be on a little bit colder tires. We'll see how he can manage this, and hopefully he doesn't tear up those tires too much by pushing too hard too early.
Goes deep there on the brakes. Oh my goodness, they got super close on that wing, and we had on very, very close to one another, but managed to avoid each other.
Definitely see a lot of different lines and through turn 12 there. Looks like the Porsche drivers might actually, from the trends I've noticed, have a different line through there than McLaren drivers. See, McLarens can carry that speed through the center, and they usually take a really late apex, but the Porsche drivers kind of attack the apex early and then just use that rear end grip to just get a huge drive off.
Yeah, and Laflamme, by the way, out of the pits himself, slotted himself right behind Wagner.
And picture in picture, we're just going to throw up that lead battle. Still going on between Big Daddy and Dudley Do-Right as we ride along with Boonstra.
Oh my goodness, how close did Dudley get to that Porsche?
Very lots of lunges, but then he suffers long term. The Porsche just gets such a good drive off. He pulls out to nearly a second gap again. Riding on board now with Do-Right, the number 221 McLaren. That being for Scuderia British Petroleum. Having a pretty good day. Space Baker, his teammate, not quite as good, riding back in 26th right now. But Do-Right's going to take care of the points today.
Yeah, looking great for him so far.
That's what I need when I race. I need someone good who can just carry me, because I'm usually that person in the back of the pack.
Yeah, that's quite a few of us, especially depending on the track we go into. I'll say, are you better than me at this track? Yeah, could you just carry us to the finish line?
Exactly.
Just
Here's the two
care.
tracks I'm good at. I'm going to need you to be really good at the rest.
We're going to switch the camera over to Big Daddy and go on his wings a bit to get a little bit of a close-up of Dudley's McLaren. You can see that exit speed on that Porsche. It just takes off after those slow turns.
Absolutely. Definitely different strengths. You can see the McLaren rolls the center of the corner, pulls it within like a car length and a half, maybe 2 car lengths, as Do-Right's actually you dive into pit road here.
He does.
Maybe leapfrog him. We'll see.
He maybe says I might have a little better pace for the next 8 minutes. We're going to keep an eye on his pit stop and tell you guys how quickly he can get in and out of there. Looks like he's spending a little bit of extra time on the pits. It's about a 10-second stop for Dudley, so not what you would expect at the end of the race, and maybe a little bit of damage or whatnot, but he is coming out of the pits. We'll see where he slots himself in. He's currently in P4. He gets a drive-through. Oh no, that is absolutely killer for Do-Right. He might have overcooked his speed going into the pits, so that effectively, oh man, you just hate to see that, especially when you're battling up top. But he will need to serve that drive-through penalty, and that effectively, if Big Daddy is able to keep that together, that might give him the win by quite a bit. And now Rodriguez going on to that P2, so you hate to see that. You just hate to see that to end at the end of the race.
Yeah, it looks like Big Daddy with a little more pace than Rodriguez right now. Running about 2 to 3 tenths quicker on average, about a 3-second gap between the two as we look back at Boonstra, still trying to hold off Wagner for that 5th position.
Yeah, battle between Porsches and McLarens, just when a Porsche is ahead and you know that straight just isn't long enough for the McLaren to maximize. And look at that, what is going on here at the hairpin? Looks like we have some traffic in between there. He tried to get out of the way. That was Ruffus. And now he gets out of the way. Now he's got Wagner has to worry about Laflamme as Wagner goes super wide there on the hairpin. But is able to hold that position from Laflamme. It looks like Ruff was just there, blue flag. Just kind of threw things off at the, just got to him at the worst possible time at the track. And that gives Boonstra a little bit of breathing room. He's got about 6 minutes left in the race, so if Wagner's going to attempt something, he's going to have to do it quickly. And Do-Right, who's now entered the pits for that drive-through, still out there serving. He has dropped down to P9 so far.
A little bit longer pit stop. We saw Big Daddy come in pits this lap, about 11 seconds. So I'd say that's about an average. We got some faster ones, 5, 6, 8 seconds, but I'd say the average of the field's probably somewhere around 9 to 10.
We did see him, yeah, about you mentioned about 12-second stop. Now, I'm not sure how far Rodriguez was. He has not yet pitted. If Rodriguez is able to nail a 5-second stop on his, that would be really interesting to see towards the end of the race. And we have to see him pit yet. And he's choosing to take it to the end. Pit window's open for another 4 minutes. He's going to take that Porsche to the end. We'll see if he does a little splash and dash, and back on the track he goes. He was your pole. Remember, they had a heck of a lap, and he hasn't led since lap 1, basically, turn 1. And that might have been, that might actually come for him to get a win. We'll keep an eye on Rodriguez.
Yeah, if he can pull off a good pit stop, it's definitely going to put him in contention. I'm going to guess they're going to come out pretty close to side by side, I think.
They were about
if he can rip off a 5-second pit stop, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, he's going to be coming out of the pits, a little bit cooler tires, and I mean, we'll see if he's able to nail that. From what I remember, he was about 3 to 4 seconds behind the leaders. So he will be coming ahead right a little bit. And switching back here to P15, by the way, Osborne has made his way through. Again, there was a huge battle going on there between, and there's still a huge battle going on between Sweeney, Gatavacar, and Osborne. And my goodness, they're just coming down the final hairpin. And Sweeney will have that inside line on Gatavacar here. They've already pit. And Gatavacar goes deep on the brakes. And very close together to one another here. And down this down the hill they go, but the BMW full seat, none of them giving up. And and look at Gatavacar just squeezing there on the inside. And able to fight one another, but it's still not over yet. And this next turn will benefit Sweeney if he's late on the brakes, but looks like he's going to let that go for now. Just that it goes deep. Gatavacar misses his actual brake marker, and that gives Sweeney the position back. Wow.
Sweeney deep on the brakes, using that grip on the McLaren mid-corner to carry the momentum through and get that position on Gatavacar.
And unfortunately, by the way, oh man, I think during the drive-through for Dudley, he's got another drive-through to pit, so his race is effectively over. All that work he's done, man, you just hate to see that happen, especially towards the end of the race.
It's definitely odd seeing 2 drive-throughs. Makes me wonder if maybe the pit limiter wasn't engaging properly or something.
It could be, yeah, it could be maybe a pit limiter scenario. And man, you just hate to see that happen, though. Yeah, we all been there, folks. And there's a little bit battle towards the middle of the feed here, 24, 25, 26, and 27 spots. These guys are all together.
Seen a pretty good recovery there for Berg, Sweeney's teammate, a few spots back from where he was. Berg's up to 16th currently, up 12 positions from where he qualified.
And this little train we're following, Herrera leading. He was leading that train earlier too, just different drivers around, but they got about 2 minutes left, about 2 laps or so to go here. And I don't think this is nowhere over at all.
Yeah, so far not the best race for TC8 Racing with Herrera and Otero Both their BMWs down a few spots from where they were.
And Adam, really quickly, switching back to P1, guess who's leading now after that pit strategy?
Rodriguez, what do you know?
5-second stop, nailed it, and now he's got Big Daddy to worry about him. He had a 12-second stop, so he basically led for until turn 1, and basically so far, hopefully everything goes okay. Looks like he might be taking that win after leading for practically no time at all. So great race from Rodriguez, guys. Great race.
Absolutely. Play everything right. Execute pit stops just like you need to. That gap, 1.7 though. He's still got to be perfect and execute this last lap if he wants to stay ahead of Big Daddy.
Yeah, he's about to go through this chicane, and Big Daddy's closing in. You're right. This is going to go to the last lap. You see there, Big Daddy not too far back, and he'll be crossing for his final lap. And oh boy, this is going to be a battle of the Porsches to the end. We have Cube Master there getting a blue flag. You know, Big Daddy's hungry for that win. He's led for most of the race.
Still about a 1.5 second gap. Big Daddy hard on the brakes through turn 12. Maybe a little too hard. I think he pushed a little bit wide on exit. Rodriguez stretched that gap just a little bit. And now he's got to deal with that lap traffic.
And now he does. And then we'll see Master maybe moving the heck out of the way. But that will give a little bit of breathing. You know, he is coming down absolutely crazy. But Master's still not, officially moving out of the way just yet. Trying to find a better place to let him through. He lifts it off back there. Not just yet.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's pretty done and dusted at this point.
Moves
just
out of
now
the way.
Finally getting past, finding opportunity to get past.
Particularly the Chet Michael.
Master there.
Yes, really quickly. So Big Daddy had a 12-second pit stop. We're not sure exactly what happened. Maybe it was maybe a fuel thing, if he had an extra fuel, or maybe a little bit of damage. And Rodriguez nailed the stop. It was about a 5-second difference between the two. And once Rodriguez, once Big Daddy came out of the pits, Rodriguez was a few seconds ahead of him. So, but it's coming towards the end here. 2 hairpins to go.
Yep. Still see, wow, big gains on the braking there for Big Daddy. Gap now only a 0.5 second, about 5 car lengths. It would take quite a big mistake here to lose it, but anything is possible. It is not over till it's over. As they come around turn 12, Rodriguez is going to wrap up this race at Donington. Big Daddy second. Yet another Porsche back in P3 is going to be Boonstra, followed by Wagner.
My goodness. What a race there towards the end. Boonstra taking the podium. Oh, my goodness. Like, we have Wagner. Great race for him as well. P4, we have LaFlamme, who goes straight into the wall. Walkowicz, yes, he does. Walkowicz brings in a P6. P7, Whitescarver, who had some issues earlier, brings that home. And then we have Rose coming through in a little bit with that P8. Great race from Justin as well. And not too far back, Payan. And then we talked about this earlier. Yasirski was able to hold on to top 10. Gets that top 10 to Sadat. We have Osborne coming through. And then Sweeney with that P13. Katavakar coming through. All the folks coming through. We have Wicks, Watts, Berg, Grover. Everybody coming through the front, folks. We have Andrew. Everybody grouped together. Look at this. And here, Herrera. Let's keep an eye here towards the end. As the last turn, Herrera is able to hold off Cockcroft there. No, not just yet. Not just yet. And he does. He does. He holds that back. So, and then we have Poe, followed by Space Baker there. Looks like there was an incident, by the way. We didn't catch it. And that's Poe himself. And last driver on the field. Looks like Morrison comes in with that P29. So crosses the line. Wow, what an ending there to the race, folks. And, you know, Big Daddy was an absolute maniac coming after Rodriguez there at the end. Where Rodriguez holds on and takes that win. And P2, Big Daddy, great race for him all around. And then Boonstra, oh my goodness, just racking up points left and right. P3 podium there for Boonstra. We're going to bring some folks here for some interviews. So if you bear with us just a second, we're going to see if we can get some of these for us. We'll see if Rodriguez is available for a chat, our race winner. And then we'll see if Big Daddy as well and Boonstra, we can bring him in for a chat. It feels like we bring Boonstra here every day. Every race we bring in, and now she's on the podium. She's going to be ecstatic about that. So we'll give us a few seconds here, folks. We'll bring him in. Alrighty, and here we go. And let's see how the drivers are just slowly getting out of their cars, I would say. But Rodriguez here, our racer. Now let's see if we can bring him in for a quick interview and see what does he think how his race went, and comes out with a win at the end. So give us a second. All right, folks. So here we go. We do have Rodriguez. Hopefully he's able to talk with us. So here we go. Let's bring him over for a little chat. And for some reason, give us just a second here, folks. Oh, there it is. Here we go. We're bringing him to our commentators booth. Rodriguez, you hear us here at the booth?
Hello. Yeah, I do.
Well, man, wanted to bring you here at the booth. Congratulate you on that win, man. I mean, I know you guys, it was a heck of a qualifying lap for you. A little bit of battle there at turn 1. You didn't lead until the end. How did it go, man? Talk to us a little bit. How did it go for you?
Well, let me tell you something. I'm drenched.
I'm sure.
Yeah, that quality, it was just a surprise for me. It was my best time ever, my PV. And I lost the first position on the first lap, and then okay, I tried just to get into a group, and that's it. But it was amazing. It's my first official win ever.
Nice. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
Absolutely. That was I mean, like I said, you kept it pretty good there. I know that you lost the position to Dudley there, and you were just kind of hovering on P3. But I mean, your qualifying lap you absolutely nailed it. I mean, I saw that come through the standings there. I was like, holy moly, he's just sent his car way up to another division. Like, I was like, whoa. But yeah, I mean, I know you had a little bit of battle with Dudley there going on for a while, and then we saw, unfortunately, he had some drive-through incidents, and Big Daddy there spent a little bit of extra time on the pit. And we're talking about on the stream, if you're able to nail that stop, you would be coming out just about 2 to 3 seconds ahead of him. And I mean, basically, when he pit, you were able to just come right through. So I mean, I know he was coming in really hot there towards the end. I mean, I was like, oh man, another lap or two, this is gonna turn pretty crazy. But you held on, man. It was a hell of a race from you, and congrats on that win. I mean, your first win, that was amazing.
Yeah,
Thank you very
absolutely.
much. And it only took me 400 hours, so let's go.
Well, I'm already like 1,000 hours in, and I don't have an official win. So yeah, you're definitely beating me there. So yeah, congrats, man. Absolutely killer.
Thank you.
You got it. I'll send you back to the race chat here for review, man. Thanks again, man.
Adios.
And here we go. We sent him back in to the race chat. Let's see if we can bring in Big Daddy. I mean, he's actually available here for a little chat here with us on the booth. Here we go. Just give us 1 second here, folks. Let's see if we can bring him over. Or Adam, I'll let you ask him a few questions. Here we go. All right, Big Daddy, you hear us here at the racing booth.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
There we go. How's it going, man? Probably not the result you wanted, but still a great day overall. Walk us through the last few minutes of your race there.
Yeah, last few minutes I had Dudley Do-Right really closing in on me. Thankfully, he went ahead and pit a little bit before me, but my fronts were not having a great time. So took my pit stop a lap or two later and just botched the pit entry into the stall. I don't think I got dropped, but it took it a second to register I was in the stall, and then didn't get the engine fired over correctly on restart. So ended up with second place, which is a bummer. But overall the race really went a lot better than I was expecting it to for me. So really can't complain about second in a class win,
Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely great drive still. I mean, small mistakes happen, and you're still that close. You definitely should have the confidence, and know that you can go out and chase and compete for those wins, even if it didn't happen to come today. Still a huge turnaround from last week as well.
Yeah, Coda was a little bit of a rough one, but we'll see how the rest of the season goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And so just congrats again on a great drive, and I hope to see you do just as well next week and maybe snag yourself a win.
I appreciate it.
All right, man. Take it
All
easy.
right.
We'll send you back to the D3, D4 chat, man. Thanks for joining.
Sounds good. Thanks for hosting, y'all.
No problem. All righty, and let's see if our P3 Selena is here. We bring her every week to the booth. She's been just doing some serious magic here later this whole season so far. So she deserves an interview here, especially for that podium spot. So let's bring her over here in just a second. Here we go. And all righty, Selena, you are back on the booth. Can you hear us?
Yep, I can.
It's like every week we have to bring you here because you do something, some magic stuff going on there. I'm just gonna ask, how did your race go? I'm not even gonna. I'm gonna let you talk.
Well, it went pretty good. I qualified, I think, in P11 overall, but I honestly, I was not expecting to like just truck and like just keep going and like gain like I don't know how many positions I gained, but P3, I'm but I'm speechless for myself.
I mean,
Like that was a good race. I had good battles and oh man.
No, I mean, we
It
were
went well.
just saw you moving up on the standings. We're like, there she goes again. Like, I don't know where she qualified, and then kept it steady. I mean, I know you had Wagner just basically behind you for I don't know how
Oh
many
yeah.
laps, and he was like trying to find a way. And then you had your Porsche with a
Yep.
better exit, and then he would just catch up a little bit there. And then Laflamme kind of came in together behind him. You guys became a little bit of a battle going on, but. And he crossed the line in P3. There's your podium. I was like, damn, she did it again. Like, she's just moving up. 31 position gain
Yeah.
at Coda, podium in X-Rays. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you're just absolutely killing it lately. So,
Yeah, I'm
again,
just for myself. Oh,
yeah, congrats
that's
on the
my
podium.
thank you. That's my first overall podium actually in SRA, so I'm getting up there.
Nice. I'm sure you like Donington Park.
Yeah, I like it a bit more now than I did. I mean, it's a good track. It's probably one of my favorite British ones out of like all the British ones, but Donington, yeah, it's up there. It's a good track.
Nice. Well, Adam, did you have anything for Selena before we let her go back to the race chat?
Man, I always get asked this question. I just have to say the same thing. It's just congrats on a great race because it just keeps happening over and over again. And hey,
Thank
we
you.
always love having you in here because we can hear the smile on your face right
Oh
now.
yeah,
So
big smiles right now. Oh yeah.
and yeah, it looks like a pretty good for day for Jess too. Brought home P12. So overall,
Yeah.
you might be taking over that points lead with your team there.
Yeah,
We'll
we're
have to see
hanging
how it
on good
pans
for
out.
the yeah, we're hanging good for the team championship at the moment. So we're hoping for P1 in the championship
Yep.
by the end of it.
just,
So
Sounds like you better start planning a shoey. Come on.
there
Yeah.
we go.
yeah, we should. We should.
It's a pretty close battle
Lock
up
it in.
there. Yeah, you're gonna have
Yep.
at this rate, you guys are gonna bring it like all the way to round 8 for a shoe, and then
Oh
and
yeah.
then if you do, then you're just gonna have to go for the win because we all want to see you do a shoe if that's happened. So,
Yeah.
yep. Anyways, all right. So I'll send you back to the race chat. Appreciate
All
you joining
right.
in once again, and congrats on that podium.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hey, I mean, at this rate, she's gonna be winning next week. She's gone like from the bottom of the top 10 the first race. She was what, 5th last week, something crazy like that, and now she's podium. So I mean, it's next logical succession to that is a win. So we'll see what happens.
And just if you're joining us, by the way, she uses a controller. I know I always point that out because it's just, I would never be able to do that on a controller. I don't know how she does it. And if you notice a few times we're following her on track, you can see her car gets a little bit squigglier than usual, and that's basically trying to adjust that analog stick, which I would just be completely, I wouldn't even know what to do at that point on, just completely, that would 100% kill somebody on track. So that's not happening for me. So she manages to do that. No thanks. I will use my wheel. I was gonna see if I was bringing anybody else that I was seeing like a battle or anything, but let's see who I have available here. I'm just gonna do one more interview. Oh, Nick Wagner's here. Let's bring him. Let's see his point of view. He moved up a lot of spots, and let's see if he's able to give us a little bit of his point of view on that battle there with Selena towards the end. Give us just a second here, folks. Okay. And here we go. All right, Nick, do you hear us? Do you hear her Us at the booth. Jeez. Can you hear us? Can you hear us? I'm not sure if he's got his mic up and running. Wanted to get.
Not sure.
He's not muted, so I wanted to get his take on Selena's battle there towards the end with LaFlamme behind him, but I don't think he's available, so I don't want to.
I'm here. Sorry.
Oh,
There we go.
you're
I
live.
knew my mic was off.
You're alive. We're alive. We just brought you in here really quick. I mean, you still had a heck of a obviously final standings there, battling with Selena for that podium. Just tell us, how did your battle go there at the end?
Yeah, I saw she was pretty dang far ahead of me, so I went in the pits and came out, and she just passed me. So I was like, "Oh crap!" So we were pushing pretty hard. It looked like I got her there in the chicane a little bit, but I got a track cut, so I backed out of it because I didn't feel right taking a spot after a track cut. But she holds strong every time I race around her, and kudos to her for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think after, was it you? I believe you pit, and I know she was like right ahead of you because I know you had stayed behind. I think you were behind somebody for quite a while, and then you just had a better pit stop than she did. She spent about 12 seconds in the pit, and then we just kind of kept following you guys a little bit here, and then we'll go switch to somebody else, and then behind you, LaFlamme was pretty close to kind of joining in the battle, and then you had to defend and then try to attack at the same time. But in the end, he kind of stayed as he was, so I thought it was still a great battle between you guys there. So.
Oh yeah, LaFlamme was crazy in the brakes on both of the whatchamacallits. My mind's blank right now.
Oh, the
Both the
hairpins.
hairpins. But he was crazy late on it, and he stuck it out every time. So we'd get to that section, he'd just fly up on me. But then through section 1 and 2, I'd kind of pull a little bit. So it was rough keeping him behind. He was behind me the whole race. I was behind White Scarver for a bit, and I think I tagged him in one of the hairpins, so I let him go by again. But it was a crazy race. These guys in D4 have some great pace. So
awesome. Well, good stuff. Still, congrats. I mean, you're pretty much second race. You win the first one, P4 second, so you got some pretty good pace up there. So you didn't have the best qualifying session you would expect from you, but you still moved up quite a few spots. So still a heck of a result in the end. So congrats again still. And Adam, do you have anything for Nick?
Yeah, get that Corey guy in here to carry his own weight one of these days, huh?
yeah, right. I need him to show up to a race actually. But yeah, he'll come too. He's got good pace, but he just gets caught up in some things. So we'll see what happens at Nürburgring next week.
Ooh, that'll be interesting. I think there's quite a few people looking forward to that too.
Another T1 hecticness.
Oh yes, always.
All right.
So we'll let you go back, and we'll wrap up the broadcast here.
All right, Nick.
Thank you for what you guys do, and have a good.
You too, man. And send it back to the race chat. Alrighty, I think that's it. Adam, I will let you take over the next section here of our stream before we close it out.
Alrighty, and that of course being our a nod to our sponsors and our supporters. Of course, all these names scrolling along the bottom of your screen here. Thanks so much to all of you who support the community. All of you are community members, and we race alongside you, get to watch you and commentate on you every week. Just thanks so much for what you do to support this, so we get the opportunity to commentate these races and have all this in the first place. And of course, thank you to our other sponsors. First of all, Documise. Documise is a modern business solution for product management. Go to documise.com to learn more about that. And of course, support from Retro Saga. Retro Saga is a North American-based gaming company that provides accessories for your favorite classic systems like Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation, and much more. So enhance your retro gaming experience today at retrosaga.ca. And a big thank you to our affiliates, Track Racer. Experience redefined gaming with Track Racer's high-quality sim rigs and accessories. And guess what? You can use code SRATE at checkout to support us as well. And also a big thanks to Armamentario. Armamentario is the toolbox for ACC that'll enhance your chance to win. Enjoy a fully customizable and enhanced HUD to change the way you experience ACC. And Go Setups. Go Setups has premium esports setups for everybody. And just use our affiliate link on our Discord and take your drive to the next level. And speaking of our Discord, be sure to head down to the description below the stream and join up. We have divisions for everybody, all experience levels. You're gonna have fun no matter where you're at, whether it's D7, D4, if you're an alien, D1, you know. But wherever you're at, whatever your experience level you have, it's a great time over here, and we just thank you so much for the admins, the people who put this together for us. And yeah, go ahead and click that, join the community, talk to people, get better. I know since I've been here, I've gotten a lot better than I have been just by racing around people, picking their brains as to what they would do in certain situations, and just improve my racecraft overall too. And I'm sure pretty much everyone in here can say the same. So, Graf, why don't you take us to the end here, sir?
You got Adam. Appreciate it. Thanks for all that. And again, for you guys that tuned in, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, next week, Adam has already touched a little bit, but we are heading out to Nürburgring. So not too far of just a little bit of a flight over the English Canal or so from Donington Park. Same time, we'll be here on Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And don't forget to tune in tomorrow if you want to watch another race here. We have the other three divisions taking place. We have D2. I'll be taking part on that race, and I love this track. Hopefully I do well compared to the last race I had. But yes, Tuesday, Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Tune in and enjoy some racing, folks. And with that being said, good night to you guys, and we'll see you next week.